Welcome back to Talk of the Town.
And this is the summer season. People are out enjoying themselves and having fun. And it's also the time of year when there's a lot of temptation out there for young people. Kids are out there socializing and having fun outdoors, and they're trying a lot of
heads.
Yeah, they're trying to socializing and experimenting with things. And it's time to have discussions with young people about temptation and peer pressure and some of the dangers that
some of the things that can happen when kids have too much time on their hands.
I've had a discussion with my young idiots that
You didn't just call your sons that.
I didn't say.
I won't tell them. They're behind the camera, but we won't tell them you said that.
I talked mostly about peer pressure. Basically, that's what I stress is peer pressure. Don't do anything that they want you to do. Just do things that you think make sense. Mm-hmm. And they've been taught right from wrong, mm-hmm. and that's what you make your decisions on, right from wrong, and what makes sense, not what somebody pressures you to do. And that's here with us today is Matt Smith, Director of Prevention Focus, to talk about that discussion and to talk about how to bring those things up and how to address that with. It's a difficult subject to broach with people, right? With young people.
Well, first of all, hi Phil, hi Kim.
Hi,
Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate the opportunity
nice
to talk to you.
Again.
Yeah. Summertime is a great time, but these conversations need to happen early and often, over and over and over again.
Well, they have young minds full of mush that need to be kind of shaped and
absolutely. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking about young people as miniature adults, mm-hmm. and the fact of the matter is they don't have the same brain that you and I have.
Underdeveloped
those little
frontal
synapses
lobe, right?
don't make connections, right?
Truly, they don't have a developed frontal lobe.
Yeah.
The ability to reason, right?
Human brain doesn't develop fully until age 25.
Yeah.
And so in some ways it's really good if you think about it. I mean, if a small child had the same brain as you and I, you'd be afraid to get up and walk. You're going to fall over. So I mean, that same brain that enables them to take chances and risks that help them grow also can sometimes lead to situations where they can do risky things that we would rather they not do. I mean, we've all had, don't touch that stove, don't touch the stove. Oh, you touched the stove. Mm. Well, it's the same thing as they get through adolescence all the way up until adulthood. And it's about conversations, decision making. You mentioned, Phil, is such an important thing because mm-hmm. if we can give a young person the ability to stop and think and really weigh pros and cons in an objective way, take a minute, take a breath, think about cause and effect. We've done an incredible thing that could really set them up for an awful lot of success in life.
It seems to me that you're talking about teaching young people tools,
mm-hmm.
and maybe less of hitting them over the head with what you ultimately want them to understand,
sure.
right?
Sure.
But giving them tools to come to the right conclusions.
Well, absolutely. Skills and information, it's both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ability to make decisions, solve problems, set goals, communicate well, solve conflicts peacefully. All these are all things that can help a young person stay on a straight and narrow path, stay out of trouble, okay, and succeed. In addition to the information that they may or may not have about things as we go along. So we give people skills and information and then try to create environments where the safer and healthier choice is the easier choice. Mm-hmm. And is therefore more likely. And that's really kind of the prescription for how we do things at Prevention Focus and in the substance abuse prevention, mental health promotion field as we understand it now in the year 2015.
And earlier, I know, Phil, you were talking about parents, needing to be aware of talking with their children, but also stressing that grandparents play a big role in that as well.
People are very resilient creatures, and the good news is kids can soak up their sponges. And if you're an adult person who is a good role model mm-hmm. and is willing to have conversations with young people, you should do so because they do take it all in. Kids who are drug-free, kids who have made a choice to not abuse alcohol or other drugs, over and over and over again in surveys say the number one reason that they don't do it is they don't want to disappoint parents or an important adult in their lives.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Say that again. It's because they don't want to disappoint.
Yes, parents or adults that they care about in their lives. And
mm-hmm.
we think so much now when it comes to young people, it's about peers, it's about media. And yes, those are strong influences, but there's still no substitute for those one-on-one relationships that we can develop as grandparents or as parents with kids and tell them, we don't want you to do certain things, we want you to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Here's reasons why, but open conversation over and over and over again. Now here's the hard part. When people are polled, adults are polled, they'll say, young people know how I feel about drugs. And when kids are polled, they'll say, no, we never really talked about that. I mean, we use the term as parents, blue in the face. You know, you tell them you're blue in the face. Well, it's no different with this topic here. You've got to talk to them when they're very young, because they're surrounded by substances all the time, and peers and other influences in media and what have you that we talked about. They need to know how you stand on this issue. And you got to tell them young, you got to tell them often. Yeah. Over and over and over again. You know, and that conversation is hard to have, but you have to do it.
It's a tug of war. It's a tug of war. There are pressures coming from the outside world, and there are pressures coming from the family, and you know, it may be more subtle from the family because it is a role model type thing from the family.
What about that conversation do you feel makes it so hard to have?
I think sometimes people feel, especially, I think people often worry about their own substance abuse. Am I being hypocritical? Did I drink when I was under 21?
And
Did
how
I
do you
use
recommend
marijuana?
families approach that? Because that is an internal struggle, to be sure.
When I have spoken with my kids, I use the same tactic I would tell a prevention specialist that would work for us to use in the classroom. You're in a bind with that particular question if a kid asks you that, because you're kind of in trouble either way. If you say you've never done these things, then the response could be, well, what do you know about it? And if you have done them, then, well, you're a hypocrite. How dare you say this to me when you did it yourself? And so I bow out and say, look, this isn't really about me. This is about you, how much I care about you in this present day time, which is not the same as when I was growing up, but is the way the expectations are now, the way the laws are now, the things that are out there now are not the same as when I was a kid. So let's talk about you.
So
now,
you're switching the focus.
In this changing world, we're dealing with technology in a lot of different aspects. You know, my kids are, you know, they've got their iPods and their iPhones, and they're constantly burying their heads. Another aspect of technology is the e-cigarettes. That's another temptation, another direction that you can go in. It used to be that you had the choice when you were, you know, an adolescent. You know, your peers were trying to influence you to try smoking. Now you have this choice of picking up this battery-operated device that may or may not be considered cool and try this e-cigarette thing. Is that a good thing as a substitute, or is it a bad thing? I don't quite understand what that is.
I think the e-cigarette phenomenon had its roots in very good intentions, in that it was it was invented by a doctor in China who was trying to create a way by which people could quit smoking. And as a smoking cessation tool, it's a wonderful idea. Unfortunately, there has not been conclusive evidence that that's been effective as that. So the prevention field is concerned because you are having a large number of people using e-cigarettes as an initiating behavior. Okay, so
non-smokers?
Basically non-smokers who take up smoking, if you will, through these devices. And, you know, they're basically in such a hurry to get these things kind of launched and out there in the public because of the well-meaning and well-intent.
Right.
They've kind of gotten out there without enough regulation, in all honesty. And, you know, there's been some studies about third-hand smoke, not just second-hand smoke, but third-hand smoke, where actual residue of nicotine is left on surfaces. And we don't know the health ramifications of prolonged exposure to just nicotine through these products from a very young age for kids. It's especially a concern with young people. Again, as a person trying to quit smoking, you know, that might be a choice for someone, and that's fine. We're concerned, though, about these devices as an initiation, being marketed in the same way that other tobacco products have been marketed forever to young people. And now you can see in the generations of products that have been created a real change in how they look and what the emphasis is.
Colors, flavors.
Yes. When they were first created, it was about trying to mimic the smoking experience. So the early ones looked an awful lot like a regular cigarette. It was supposed to mimic that for people as they were attempting to quit smoking. Now these devices look very, very different. They don't look anything like a cigarette because you're not necessarily appealing to a person who is attempting to quit, but a person who's taking it up for the first time.
Well,
the jury's still out on that, but the bottom line is it's probably something we should discourage at this stage.
Well, I don't know that it's good for you. You know, seriously, as a person to pick it up, you know, obviously, what does nicotine necessarily do? And you know, and you know, again, the decision making, the problem solving. Is this a good choice? Is this a healthy choice? And what's normal? Because kids especially need to know what is normal. And most people don't smoke. Most people don't abuse alcohol. Most people don't do illegal drugs. And these are messages we have to say say to young people all the time, because whatever normal is, we all have
That's
the human
what they want to
tendency
do.
to want to be.
Yeah, to fit in.
So we need to play that up.
And you have coming up the OK 5K
That's right.
on Tuesday, July 21st. Tell us what that is all about.
It's one of our annual fundraisers for Prevention Focus. We're very excited to be in Delaware Park on Tuesday the 21st. Starting at 6 o'clock will be registration. 7 o'clock is the actual race itself, with a post-race party that will follow. WBBZ is a huge supporter of it, and I'm excited to say that we're going to have food from Anderson's. So this is going to not be like your normal hot dog kind of a thing. We're going to have the roast beef sandwiches and the turkey sandwiches for the people who run, and music and live entertainment supplied by Alt Buffalo 1077. Bentley, the morning personality, is going to be there with us live, and we're excited to have her there too. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially I think for people who maybe have never done a 5K before, that have maybe been daunted by the process. That's why we call it the OK 5K. Walk it or run it, first 5K or 50th. However your time is, it's all okay. We want to make this okay for people. We'll recognize all the first-time 5Kers with special recognition, as well as the normal 5-year bracket increments of how you finish.
What
and all
a
that
great
sort of
way! What a great way to spend the day in the community, raising money with Prevention Focus to help young people to learn to make good choices.
Well, thanks to Matt Smith for being here, and we, as WBBZ, we always like to support Prevention Focus.